Now for what's trending in true crime, and it's Ghislaine Maxwell. She's now serving her time at Club Fed in Texas, a prison camp with lots of perks. But there's one perk she cannot take part in, and that's the Canine Companions program, where inmates help train service dogs. The CEO of the program telling NBC News that puppy training is off limits to anyone whose crimes involve abuse toward minors or toward animals, including any crime of a sexual nature. Since, of course, puppies are vulnerable little creatures. So it seems that a puppy program is one of the very few drawing the line against Ghislaine Maxwell. At least that's how it seems. So if Maxwell is too dangerous to work with dogs, should she be in this cushy prison camp at all? Let's talk about it. Let's bring in our guests. I have with me criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Mario Gallucci and retired lieutenant and canine expert. He's also the owner of Houndstown USA, Mike Gould. Good morning to you both. Lieutenant, you have actually run a program like this. So tell us, in your view, did they make the right decision with her?
Good morning, Julie. So, yeah, absolutely. My charity, Houndstown Charities, we had done that pre-COVID. But I think it's a mistake. It doesn't make any, actually doesn't make, it's illogical to me. When we did this, we didn't care about the crimes, to be very honest with you. Don't forget, this is highly supervised. We're not giving these inmates dogs. We're watching every move they make, as are the correctional staff. So rape, robbers, murderers, that's what this is for, is to have a transformational experience for inmates. The dogs are in a bad, we took shelter dogs, and inmates, they're in theoretically a similar situation. So this bonding process is to create empathy and responsibility. It shouldn't have anything to do with the crime, in my opinion.
Wow, that's fascinating hearing you say that. Okay, Lieutenant, thank you. Mario, of course, I want you to weigh in. Your thoughts on this, the CEO of that program saying it is a no-go with people like Ghislaine.
So, you know, the Bureau of Prisons makes all the decisions for the federal prisons, and they've decided that if somebody commits a crime that has something to do with the abuse of children, and she was convicted of the abuse of children, they don't think that she should be training, you know, these types of dogs. I mean, we're not talking about a dog that's going to, you know, search for drugs. We're talking about a service dog. So, look, I'm not a dog trainer, but dogs are intuitive. You know, dogs take to people. And if you have somebody that's abusing children, convicted of abusing children, maybe the Bureau of Prisons feels that, you know, her intuitiveness is not what they want this dog to be doing. You know, if you're teaching a dog to be sensitive and compassionate and be a service dog and help people. I've worked with service dogs. I've worked with service dogs with witnesses, where witnesses testified with the service dog on their lap because it made them relaxed. If you can't get the service dog to do that because they are not getting along with this type of person, I guess that's what they're thinking. You know, I understand what the lieutenant is saying. You know, the lieutenant's taking the opposite stance here. What he's saying is, you know, this is the type of person that maybe you should be giving a dog to. Maybe they can learn compassion. So, you know, it goes both ways. But the Bureau of Prisons makes the decisions, and that's their decision.
Right, sure does. Now, I appreciate you weighing in on that, Mario. Lieutenant, about the specifics of the training, you know, so this is fascinating to me. So how exactly could an inmate be useful at all to someone like you who's an expert who can train the dogs just fine on your own, doesn't need to involve somebody like Ghislaine Maxwell? How exactly could these inmates be helpful? Would you explain that part of it to us?
Right, of course. So as we said, humans and dogs, they're sharing a lot of similar emotions. So it's not that we're training dogs to be better with inmates. We're actually training inmates, in a sense, to be better with other living creature. A dog is a living creature. As I said, we took these dogs from shelters because they found themselves in kind of a similar situation. They're incarcerated, and sometimes for not all the exact reasons we know. So I just see this as a human and dog experience, not being labeled by a robber, rapist, sex offender. I've trained dogs to go to court and sit on children's laps. And I've been there and I understand it. I think the Bureau of Prisons is just making a mistake here. I don't understand it, frankly, because all this in New York State, that's where I work, and that's where I instituted these programs. These were all violent felons, drug crimes. And I never even asked, In order to get into my program, you had to look me in the eyes and shake my hand. That was the test, providing obviously the prison allowed it, that they weren't extremely violent, dangerous people. But that was my test. I didn't care about. You know, you're not supposed to take political and moral views about inmates. So this program was designed for people like that, to just bond, to develop empathy. And sometimes it's a spiritual transformation. Many times it's a transformation of the inmate. And it's helping the dogs that are going to be they're locked up and incarcerated as well.
This is fascinating. It's fascinating hearing you say that. I did not expect that from you, Mike Gould, and I'm surprised in the very best way, you know, because nobody loves dogs, you know, more than you. My God, you rescued them. You've devoted so much of your life, you know, to dogs and your program, Handcuffs to Healing. I thought you would say the opposite, but this is a very enlightening conversation. And I know you love your dogs more than anything, too, Mario. I know we're all dog lovers here. I think everybody watching the program is. We all adore them. And I guess this whole idea that they're saying, you know, oh, these are vulnerable animals. Your point, Lieutenant, if I'm right, is that there is incredible supervision. This is not a situation where someone could go off alone with a dog and do some harm. There would be heck to pay if anybody steps out of line, right?
Yeah, well, these are therapeutic programs. It's no different than AA meetings in these different environments. There's all kinds of social therapeutic activities taking place. The dog is the miracle connection between the two. I've seen it with my own eyes. These hardened criminals, they're depressed, they're lonely. Yeah, they committed violent crimes. But when they touch a dog, as we all know, just like the children in court, when you can put your hand on a dog sitting on your lap, it changes you, and you may have a different perspective. When I did it, the results were phenomenal. All 6 dogs we used 6 dogs as a test. They were of all breeds. This is the beauty of it. Dogs don't discriminate. They're not homophobic. They don't make moral decisions. So the dogs in our programs were pit bulls. I mean, every mutation of a dog possible. That's what quality. They just had to be. So it was really kind of a spiritual, transformational experience for me. When you witness it and watch what happens, it's no different. I think the Bureau of Prisons made a huge mistake. I think they jumped into this with human illogic when it relates to dogs and humans.
I hear you. Well, boy, this is really, really helpful. A great conversation. Mike Gould, you have to go train some dogs. I understand you got a busy day ahead of you. Thank you so much for weighing in. Really appreciate your insight. Mario Gallucci is coming with us. You do the same at home, please. When we come back, here's what's next on Opening Statements.
I was led to believe that this world was an evil place, filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, and children who need abused.
Just look at this. Remember this abuse case with Ruby Franke and her best buddy, Jody Hildebrandt? Well, now, Ruby's ex-husband is suing her partner in crime there. We'll break it down when we come back. And was Mindy Casotis pregnant? We're taking a look at the rumors and the lies that have all been swirling around in the dismembered wife murder trial.